Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I wanted to come on here today to talk about emotional support animals and service animals and the species of animals called an alligator. Before we get into this video with this gentleman that lives in Pennsylvania and openly admits that he goes to places that sell food like Walmart, Target, in restaurants like Denny's and stuff. He openly admits it. He takes his gator in there. An alligator is a very dangerous apex predator. This type of animal, no matter how trained they are, they have the power of their jaws to kill a person, to rip their limbs off, to kill another animal. Okay, these animals do not belong in places like Walmart or Denny's, especially these animals. They are very highly wild animals and are very dangerous. Okay, so they have no rights even being an emotional support animal because of how dangerous of a species of animal they are. Okay, and frankly, I think the laws, in my opinion, should be changed that only domesticated animals could be an emotional support animal. And alligators are not domesticated animals. They're very much a wild animal and very, very dangerous. And good for Walmart for actually banning that species for being dangerous and seeing it and following it through. This animal does not belong, because what if this guy takes his gator into the restaurant and it's underneath the table like a service animal would, and let's say the waitress comes up to serve you and that alligator goes after let's say the alligator charges underneath the table to the lady and rips her leg off, or the man and rips their leg off. What about a service animal and a handler that's walking by that table where this gentleman and this gator is at, and it hurts the service animal, or even hurts the disabled handler, or both, and kills them even? Okay, so this guy is breaking so many laws. Okay, it's not even funny. I have the laws pulled up, and we're going to talk about, his emotional support access rights in the state of Pennsylvania as well, under state laws. Let's see. Let's watch the video first, then we'll talk about it.
I didn't think that I would actually own an alligator ever. It's been really kind of incredible.
Wesley Silva got his pet alligator 4 years ago from a neighbor who got her as a gift. When they weren't able to care for her anymore, they asked Silva if he'd be interested.
I did some research. I have kids of my own, and I didn't want to put anybody in jeopardy. And after some research, I was like, you know what? I'll take her.
Since then, they've been everywhere.
We've gone to restaurants. We've been to Denny's, where she's a star there. She gets VIP treatment. We've been out to Bob Evans. We've been out to the Wagon Wheel in West Brownsville.
Silva says she always got a warm welcome. That is, until nearly 2 weeks ago, when some shoppers at the West Brownsville Walmart reached out to Channel 11 about an alligator shopping in Walmart with its owner.
It's been very positive, and I was really taken back by that.
While Silva says Jinsei is registered as an emotional support animal, it's not allowed at Walmart. After our story, Walmart sent this statement saying in part, quote, "We welcome service animals in our stores, but it is unacceptable to expose members of the public to potential danger. Accordingly, alligators are not permitted on our premises." Silva says he's upset, but understands. He says he'll continue taking her wherever she's welcome.
I just go with the flow.
Steve, this was
Okay. We are going to go right here to, this is Federal Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA.gov. This, you could call the Department of Justice if you have further questions. And the number's up here at the top. And also, let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, the first one, is about emotional support animals and comfort and all that. Question 3 under the law. Are emotional support, therapy, comfort, or companion animals considered service animals under the ADA federal law? No. These terms are used to describe animals that provide comfort just by being with a person because they have not been trained to perform specific job or a task. They do not qualify as service animals under the Americans with Disabilities Act federal law. However, some state and local governments have laws that allow people to take emotional support animals into public places. You may check with your state or local government agencies to find out about these laws. Okay, now let's talk about state and local government agencies. And most states do not allow emotional support animals public access rights, especially they do not allow them in places like Walmart or a restaurant like Denny's or a grocery store, anywhere they sell food. Emotional support animals are not allowed, period. Now, some states will allow you to take them to a craft store like Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby or a hardware store with permission from the store owner or the store management, meaning you call ahead and you ask for permission. If they say no, that they only support service animals, that means that no for you emotional support animal people. Emotional support animals is a fancy name for a pet for housing only. Now, let's go on to question 4 under the federal law. If someone's dog calms them when having an anxiety attack, does this qualify it as a service animal? It depends. The ADA makes a distinction between psychiatric service animals and emotional support animals. The dog has been trained to sense that an anxiety attack is about to happen and takes a specific action like licking for tactile stim or pressure therapy is some of the tasks. Or alerting to the oncoming anxiety attack to get you to safety or lead you out, or some of the tasks that they could do. This is to help avoid the attack or even lessen its impact. That would qualify as a service animal under the law. However, the dog's mere presence provides comfort or companionship. That would not be considered a service animal. So this gentleman's breaking the law. Now let's go down here to certification and registration. Online registries where they sell you the certificates and IDs is a scam. You're paying all that money for that piece of paper and a little bit of ink on it, that plastic card and a little bit of ink on it, and guess what? It does not convey any rights under the law. It does not convey any rights that your dog is trained or your animal is trained in the courtroom. A judge will tell you that's a scam. Those are not legit. Okay? Does the ADA require that a service animal be certified as a service animal? No. Covered entities may not require documentation such as proof that the animal has been certified, trained, or licensed as a service animal to convey conditions for entry. There are individual or organizations that sell service animal certification and registration documents online. These documents do not convey any rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act federal law, and the Department of Justice does not recognize them as proof that the animal is a service animal, meaning that it doesn't even convey any recognition in the courtroom either. So it's illegal. Now, we're going to go over emotional support animals in Pennsylvania, where this alligator and this guy live. In Pennsylvania, the rights of emotional support animals, ESAs, owners are primarily governed by federal law, meaning that they do not, under federal law, they're not service animals, so therefore they do not have any rights. Sorry about all the notifications and crap. But anyway, even under Pennsylvania law, they say go to federal law. Federal law does not recognize them The only rights basically in Pennsylvania is under the Fair Housing Act and housing accommodations. Okay, and it says, in contrast, for service animals, ESAs do not have the same public access rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which we just went over on the other page. To qualify for an ESA, an individual needs a legitimate letter from a licensed mental health professional. Yeah, you don't need registration. You get a letter from your mental health professional to turn into your landlord for Fair Housing Act. Okay? You have a right to reasonable accommodation under fair housing. You don't have to pay any pet fees if approved. You're protected from denial. They cannot evict you for having an ESA. They cannot deny you housing because of an ESA. But sometimes they do. But they are allowed to kick your ESA out if it damages or hurts somebody. Okay? Or it's unruly. Like a nuisance. And you have to prove your need for that animal to be with you. Like a letter from your mental health provider. You're reliable for and responsible for any damages caused by your own animal. A landlord can deny an ESA request if the animal poses a direct threat to the health and safety of other residents, the animal causes significant property damage, the accommodation would pose an undue financial and administrative burdens on the landlord, such as significantly increasing the landlord's insurance costs. Landlords cannot require official registration or certification for ESA, as no such official federal or state registry even exists. Right there. Public access in Pennsylvania. Unlike service dogs, emotional support animals are not guaranteed access to all public places under the federal or Pennsylvania state laws. Okay? The ADA does not allow ESAs in public access. You could go case by case basis under the state law, okay? And an ESA owner can ask a business for permission to bring their animals inside, but the business is not legally required to grant you access. And don't even ask a place that sells food, because your animal is still a pet and not a service animal. Remember that. Service animals are exempt, and that's why they get to go into restaurants and grocery stores, because they're providing a task and they do a job, a specific action, where your ESAs do not. And your ESA is just a fancy name for a pet for housing, basically. And now, like, you could call up like Hobby Lobby or a hardware store or some place that doesn't sell any food, and you might get access rights there, okay? But you're not going to get access rights to like Walmart, Denny's, and other restaurants, and McDonald's, KFC, a steakhouse. You're not going to get access to those places. You're not going to get access to grocery stores. You're not going to get access to Target and such, okay, that sell food, because there's food codes that they have to follow. Each food establishment that sells food has a license, and then in order to keep that license, they have to follow food codes. If they do not follow food codes, they can lose their license to sell you food. And that hurts not only you, but it hurts everyone else that they sell to, okay? And it only takes one report to the health department in order to get that food license taken away. So keep that in mind when you take your pet willy-nilly into Walmart or a grocery store or a restaurant where it doesn't belong by law. So I talked about this, and I debunked this guy breaking all laws. Please keep your alligator at home, dude. And also, if you want more education on how dangerous alligators and gators and crocodiles are, please check out my friend Robbie's channel, Get Swamped. That's spelled GETSWAMPED. Again, Get Swamped. Please check him out. He has all kinds of videos on alligators. He is a Florida State licensed alligator trapper. And you can learn a lot from that channel about alligators and why they wouldn't make a good pet or even an emotional support animal at that, or even a service animal. But under the laws, a service animal could only be a dog or a miniature horse. And there's certain training that has to, under the law, that has to be done, as far as like obedience, and so many hours of training, and they have to know, at least one task to mitigate a disability. Most service animals have more than one task in order to mitigate. So there you go. I just wanted to come on here, make sure people understand the difference between them and stuff. There is a very distinct difference, and you really have to be careful of the laws, because you could be committing a felony, you could be committing a misdemeanor, and we don't want that to happen. I hope that this gentleman understands that, the dangers of this species of animal, understands what an emotional support animal really is, and why he shouldn't be taking it into places that sell food and whatnot. And he could get permission under the Pennsylvania state laws. He could get permission, like, to go to Hobby Lobby. He could get permission to go to, like, a hardware store where they don't sell food. But that's up to that store. If that store says no, then he don't have no rights to access that animal there. But he should not be accessing an alligator, because, like, for example, if he went to a restaurant and alligators underneath the table like a service animal would, let's say your waitress may be male or even female, let's say they come out to the table to serve you and take your order and whatnot, and then the alligator charges at them or injures them or even kills them. What about if another service animal's coming through, passing by where your gator's at, sir, and that gator charges at that animal, hurts it, injures it, or kills it? You'll be under a lot of trouble with federal law, with the ADA that protects that service animal that you just injured. And you will have to pay damages and possibly pay for training for another dog for that handler. Yes. You could be in big trouble, but you want to sit there and say, I will take her anywhere where she's welcome? You can't. Okay? You can't. And it's very dangerous for that species. I hope everybody has a great day, and please hit the like and subscribe button so you're hit the all bell notifications so you're updated with notifications when a video comes available, or if I do a live. And we'll talk later. Have a great day.